Dr. Jordan Peterson, considered by many to be the modern man's virtual father, has inspired both praise and ridicule for his opinions on feminism, free speech, masculinity, and philosophy. His latest interview with Piers Morgan caused headlines. Keep watching to hear why and to find out which celebrity has publicly named him the pseudo-intellectual hero for the incel movement. What's the deal with Dr. Jordan Peterson, and why did Twitter ban him? Jordan Peterson, 60, is a clinical psychologist, author, media personality, and quasi-celebrity from Alberta, Canada. His book, 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos, became a hit in the UK, US, Canada, Australia, Germany, and France. And we just have to list the 12 rules according to Peterson. Stand up with your shoulders straight. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. Befriend people who want the best for you. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not the useless person you are today. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Set your house in order before you criticize the world. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Assume the person you are listening to knows something you don't. Be precise in your speech. Do not bother children while they are skateboarding. Pet a cat when you encounter one. Jordan Peterson is one of the most controversial figures of the modern era. Just one of many examples. In a series of tweets, conservative author and psychologist Dr. Jordan Peterson claimed that Russia was pushed to invade Ukraine in order to prevent the spread of America's culture wars, which have now taken aim at gender issues. He also claimed that America's culture war on gender took the world stage when Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was unable to answer "What is a woman?" when asked during her confirmation hearing in March. Peterson said that moment represented the idea that the West is irrational for Russians, who need their ideas stopped. But what caused Dr. Jordan Peterson to leave Twitter? He was banned for claiming that the biggest transgender star in Hollywood was converting children by posing for pictures with his abs. Peterson, who was suspended from Twitter after claiming that Page had his breasts removed by a criminal physician, then reiterated his statement off the platform and said he needed to speak up following Page's shirtless show on Esquire's summer issue last month. He claims he would have let it all go if she hadn't been parading her new abs in a fashion magazine. Peterson told podcaster Kyle Kulinski on his Crystal Kyle and Friends show, declaring his concern over how many children Page has convinced to convert. 1? 1,000? The psychologist also mocked his Twitter suspension and continued referring to Page as female and using his former name, Ellen. That's a practice known as dead naming, which many trans people find offensive. When asked about his Twitter suspension, Peterson said that it was hardly a punishment. This isn't the first time Jordan has gotten into hot water over tweets. Psychologist Jordan Peterson has defended a tweet where he said a plus-sized model in Sports Illustrated was not beautiful because he does not think that type of body is the ideal of athletic beauty. Peterson told The Telegraph the use of that model, who was not athletic, remember, Sports Illustrated, was manipulative economically and in relation to the model herself, although she participated in her own exploitation. Peterson defended his statement that Yumi Nu could not be considered athletic or a good fit for the cover of Sports Illustrated. In a new interview with The Telegraph, Peterson admitted that his tweet was not a mistake or the reason why he decided not to use the platform. He initially tweeted a photo of model Yumi Nu and stated, "Sorry, not beautiful." He later added, "And no amount of authoritarian tolerance is going to change that." He said he deleted his Twitter account from personal devices to avoid reading comments from anonymous trolls who insisted he was a white supremacist and a transphobe. But is Jordan Peterson really an incel hero, or is he a voice Gen Z needs? Peterson has come under relentless attack from those who accuse him of encouraging young men and women to be their best selves. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Well, it completely depends on your opinion. For the crime of challenging young men to assume responsibility for themselves and their actions, Jordan Peterson has been relentlessly attacked. But some may argue there's nothing wrong with it, and that, in fact, it's desperately needed. Actress Olivia Wilde has joined the ranks of those demonizing Jordan Peterson. Actress and director Olivia Wilde revealed that the misogynistic cult leader antagonist in a new film she directed called Don't Worry, Darling was actually based on this insane man, Jordan Peterson, who is the pseudo-intellectual hero for the incel movement. Peterson is a guru for incels, according to Wilde. They think he legitimizes certain aspects of their movement because he's a former professor, an author, he wears a suit. They feel like this is a real philosophy that should be taken seriously. In Wilde's words, the incel philosophy holds that women should be put back into their place and that men are justified in feeling entitled to sex with them. But young people who found great empowerment in Peterson's books and lectures believe it's a characterization they know to be completely false. A young woman fan of Peterson said, "Never did I feel Peterson wanted to put me back into the correct place as a woman. Actually, I found him to be one of the few cultural voices who pragmatically discusses many of the challenges women face in balancing career and family ambitions." Peterson took Wilde's remarks quite personally. The famously stoic psychologist recently became teary when asked by Piers Morgan about Wilde's comments. "People have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young men," Peterson said with tears in his eyes. "What a terrible thing to do. It's very hard to understand how demoralized people are, and certainly many young men are in this category." In response to this, Peterson was ridiculed mercilessly. But is he right? Are boys struggling? Today, women are earning more college degrees than men, and 1 in 6 young people aged 18 to 24 are neither going to school nor working. Young men are disproportionately overrepresented among them. In that age bracket, they are 6 times more likely than their female counterparts to commit suicide. For offering his predominantly male audience a role model, Peterson has been dragged through the mud and even equated to the magical Nazi villain Red Skull. There are so many measures by which young men are falling behind. So are Peterson's words of wisdom and encouragement being viewed in the wrong way? It could be said that today, any male empowerment is seen as sinister or anti-feminism. But empowering one group doesn't necessarily mean demeaning another. The bulk of Peterson's advice isn't gender-specific. It's classic advice. Clean your room, stand up straight, get yourself in order, and make yourself a respectable person before criticizing others. Perhaps men flock to this medium because they're in more acute need of it. Women are encouraged with messages of girl power and are rightfully told they can be whoever they want to be. Young men, on the other hand, are told that their masculinity is toxic and are starved for a similar empowerment. As Peterson told Morgan, it's hard to imagine how many lives would be improved by a single encouraging word. Some people will say his message is one young people desperately need to hear. The pandemic knocked our feet out from under us before we even got a chance to set them on the ground. Our educational and career paths were derailed. We have no control over the world around us, but Gen Z will face down a very uncertain future in an era of chaos. In a culture where people seem to embrace victimhood, Peterson preaches a message of radical individualism. The only thing young people can control, he argues, is their own actions. We'd love to hear what you think. Someone else who doesn't agree with Peterson's views is Meghan Markle. In her latest Archetypes podcast, Meghan Markle took a swipe at Peterson in a discussion about how the label crazy is used to diminish women's credibility. In the 5th episode of the Spotify series, Meghan Markle issues a trigger warning advising listeners to tune out if they find the content too heavy, before criticizing Hollywood for its stereotyping of crazy hot female characters. Meghan describes how she herself has been called crazy, before revealing the moment that, at her worst point, Prince Harry found her a referral to a therapist. She says the anecdote shows how we should be honest about our needs and ask for help when we need it. Meghan then plays a series of quotes, including one from the American sitcom How I Met Your Mother, in which the character Barney says, "If she's this crazy, she has to be this hot." This is followed by Jordan Peterson, who says, "I don't think that men can control crazy women." Dr. Peterson is certainly not someone you should agree with on everything, but he needs to be heard nonetheless. It's fascinating to watch the cultural impact he's had over the last year, and his prominence shows no signs of abating. It's always healthy for society to have debates about ideas and issues, and we'd love to hear your point of view. Thanks for watching.